So welcome everyone and thank you for joining. Let's go through the opening aspiration first. If anyone would like to read it out for us, that would be nice.
With boundless compassion and wisdom, I will work for the welfare of all. May we be free from hunger and discord and have joy and a world at peace.
Thank you. So today we have to continue readings and reflections on verse number 9 of the 38 practices of Bodhisattva, which is recognizing the truth of things. Like dew on grass, the delights of the three worlds, by their very nature, evaporate in an instant. To strive for the supreme level of liberation, which never changes, is the practice of a Bodhisattva. So we have to know, I think, what we can resonate with from Sri Aurobindo and Mother. These three worlds are the worlds of mind, life, and body. Thoughts, feelings, sensations of the body. So all the delights coming to us from whether thoughts, feelings, or sensations, they are fleeting, and we all are aware of that through our own experiences. So by their very nature, they evaporate in an instant. They are there today, they are not there in the next moment. All of us are aware of that through practical experiences. And then he says, to strive for the supreme level of liberation, which never changes. So to be established in such a joy, such a contentment within, which is immutable, not depending upon the outer fleeting quicksand like experiences. So that's what he says, that to strive for the supreme level of liberation. Why would he use the word liberation? Because as long as I am depending on the outward experiences for my contentment or joy, I am actually a slave to them, right? So if a person's smile is what I need to make my day happy, which otherwise emotionally sounding it appears very beautiful, right? That's what we see in Bollywood, etc. That, oh, your smile made my day. I'm not saying that we should not be smiling. We all should be smiling all the time, if possible, as Mother says. But to depend upon external things, people, situations, and outer happenings for our joy and contentment, then we are always a slave. We are not liberated. So that's what he's sharing in the last two lines, to strive for the supreme level of liberation, which never changes, is the practice of a bodhisattva. तो आज किसी ने अगर स्माइल पास कर दी जिससे हमें चाहिए थी, वो भी सही है, नहीं करी तो भी सही है, हम वी आर गुड, वी आर नॉट dependent upon that. And again, this may not resonate with everyone, because we all may not in the, maybe not in the phase of life, or I don't know, phase of growth, where we may resonate ki what is this way of living, why should I not depend upon outer things? That's what normal human beings are. So if we consider still these kind of things normal, then right now maybe this is not the time for me. But if I have had enough experiences that the outer fleeting world is not really dependable, वहाँ आपको वो joy and contentment नहीं मिलेगी, but otherwise there is lots of growth possible. ऐसा नहीं है. That's why we are here. We are, through our interactions in the world, we are growing. But to base them for our contentment and joy, that's where we get all the time disappointments. So to not ground ourselves in that quicksand, that is the practice of a bodhisattva. So last time we had started upon this verse and maybe read a little, not much, maybe one page, I guess. Yeah. So today maybe we can go further. And if there are any questions, any reflections at any point of time, please, as always, unmute and share at any moment. So let us read this page. Maybe 3 paragraphs we are going to read, starting from one of the problems in our modern society. So if anyone would like to read, please go ahead. Yeah, is anyone wanting to read?
Okay, I will. One of the problems in our modern society is the idea that happiness means pleasure. Therefore, a really happy life will be one of the unending pleasure. But actually, unending pleasure would be extraordinarily boring and unsatisfactory. Some psychiatrists say that the problem for most of their patients is not any psychiatric issue per se. They don't have psychosis, schizophrenia, or anything like that. Outwardly they are prosperous and seem to have everything, but inwardly their life is totally meaningless. There is no purpose. Shall I go ahead?
Yeah, one more.
Yes, they got the position in the firm that they wanted. Certainly, they have a nice house, family, and 3 cars, and they can buy more or less whatever they want. Yet they ask, is this all life all about? Increasingly, people are experiencing this sense of hopelessness because they have got everything that society tells them is needed for happiness, satisfaction, and fulfillment, and they are miserable.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. So it's very interesting, that we confuse happiness with pleasure, जिसमें मजा आ रहा है आपको, कि आइसक्रीम खाने में मजा आ रहा है ना, मूवी देखने में हमें मजा आ रहा है, तो हम जो मजा आ रहा होता है प्लेजर, उसको हम हैप्पीनेस से कंफ्यूज करते हैं. आई थिंक इट्स अ प्रॉब्लम विद अ कलेक्टिव ओनली. वी आई थिंक ऑल ऑफ अस suffer from this problem, that yes, instant gratification, exactly, yes, कि ओ मन कर रहा है, चलो समोसे खाते हैं, आइसक्रीम खाते हैं ना, और ओए कि मजा आ गया, क्या आइसक्रीम है, तो हमको लगता है कि वो हैप्पीनेस है. सो वी कंफ्यूज एक्साइटमेंट विद हैप्पीनेस. दैट्स अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग. And as long as there is disappointment in our life, we will continuously need lots of excitement also. And then there comes a time that we have equanimity in life, which is a kind of a state of, calm, sweet, serene joy within, which is not very loud and aggressive. It's not like excitement or anything like like an up and down of too much, like waves go up and down. It's not appearing like that. तो हमें दूर से वो लाइफ थोड़ी डलनेस भी लग सकती है, ऑन द सरफेस, बट इट्स एक्चुअली नॉट रियली डल. इट्स जस्ट दैट वो पुराना जो टेस्ट लगा हुआ था, उसके सामने ये लाइफ डिफरेंट है. So one of the problems in our modern society is the idea that happiness means pleasure. Therefore, a really happy life will be one of unending pleasure. है ना, तो जिस चीज में मजा आ रहा है वो बस बार बार करते रहें, तो मतलब वी हैव अ हैप्पी लाइफ. बट दैट ऑल ऑफ अस नो, आई थिंक दैट दैट्स नॉट ट्रू. एंड हाउ मिजरेबल वी बिकम when that pleasure is not there anymore for some time. So we want it again, then we want it again, then we want it again. So like an addict, if we have any idea of addiction, and all of us are addicted to our thoughts, we are addicts, and we are all addicted to our thoughts and storylines. So if we are not dwelling into our thoughts and storylines, it appears that yeah, मेरी life बहुत empty लग रही है, तो बर्दाश्त नहीं होता. And many times we have discussed about it. So but actually unending pleasure would be extraordinary, boring and unsatisfactory. So first of all, it is monotone, and then it is repeated. You're doing the same thing or similar things again and again. And secondly, unsatisfactory, because you know that still, I'm not feeling okay. If you're true to yourself, then you would know that, because addiction can never be okay. You always know that something is wrong, something is not okay. So it is unsatisfactory, because without that particular stimulation, you are not okay. You are feeling uneasy, not yet very good friends with your emptiness within. So see, outwardly they are prosperous and seem to have everything, but inwardly their life is utterly meaningless. There is no purpose. And that is why Mother says that an aimless life is a miserable life, and depending on the aim, quality of the aim that you choose will depend the quality of your life. So whenever, I think that's why we repeat, I try to bring it again and again, that any amount of selfless work, if we can all include in our lives, where you are giving yourselves through to the world in whatever little, we all have skills and capacities. तो जिसकी जो capacity है उसमें अगर हम selflessly, if we offer ourselves to the world, and also try to learn further, continue to grow and learn further, learn new things, new skills, new abilities, always never saying no, I can't learn this, I'm not good at it. मतलब वो होना ही नहीं चाहिए जवान में, गुड नहीं है तो सीख लेंगे, जो जरूरी है काम के लिए वो सीख लेंगे. So that's very progressive way of living, and there is where lies the true satisfaction. कितनी ही कहानियां हैं हमारे पास कि आपके पास सब कुछ है, गाड़ी बंगला पैसा सब कुछ है, बट नहीं है आपके पास कंटेंटमेंट. एंड देन वी गो बैक टू दैट डायलॉग, कि मेरे पास ये है, ये है, ये है, तेरे पास क्या है, एंड दैट गाय, द अदर गाय सेज कि मेरे पास माँ है, which I think holds true here also, because we also, if we are grounded in the mother and are open to the mother and open to life, then our life is very full. It's very rich life that we live. Each day is very rich. You're not waiting for some year or day to happen, that, oh, this day and then my life will be good. So each day becomes, as in Savitri Shri Aurobindo say, a long growth towards the Supreme, when we try to live a good life, fuller life, richer life, not waiting for further days to unfold, but fully here and now, and giving our best to the world and learning also the best that we can. ये होती है rich life. So we can actually double the hours that we are living up. 24 hours लगते हैं कि okay, one day has 24 hours, but आपने the growth that you had in those 24 hours belongs to maybe 48, 72 hours, double, triple हो जाता है वो. आप उसी time को as if you stretch it. If we are productive and efficient and good friends with ourselves and always wanting to progress and learn and do some amount of selfless, meaningful work, which all of us can do. I'm sure some of us must be doing already. So that is what brings true contentment. So anything over here, anyone?
I was just, when you were saying about true contentment and joy, I was just listening to one of this interview by Jetsunma, where there was the interviewer asked her that, didn't you feel lonely in the cave? Because she was there in the cave, and I was also very fascinated, about 12 years in a cave. Didn't she feel lonely? How did she manage, by, the 12 years in the snow, in Himalayas, so hard? And her answer was so beautiful, something that you were also saying, that she said, I did not. Honestly, I did not. In fact, I felt lonely in the monastery that I was in. That was very interesting, that exactly that how we would think that monastery would give people, having all the security and everything will give me so much happiness. I will not feel lonely. But it actually makes us more miserable, because that's not where we belong. And for some people who can actually hear to their heart and take a very unconventional choice and, attend to their calling, they can get happiness in a prison like Shabito or, in a cave. That was her willing choice to be in the cave. So that was very revelatory that somebody can actually find the true happiness in the cave. And we always believe, oh, what if we'll not have people around who will look after us? What this happens and that happens. So that also, listening to your heart can actually is the key, which we don't, of course, because we are so afraid.
Yeah, yeah. And there comes a time then there is no other choice that is left, and we just have to. There comes a time, I think, in everybody's life. Yeah, anything else? Anyone? Hmm. So this is very interesting, this the thirst that is given to man. इट्स इंडिकेटर ऑफ समथिंग, है ना? अगर हमारी फुलफिलमेंट कारों से और प्रॉपर्टी से और वेल्थ से हो जानी थी, इसका मतलब हमारा काम उतना ही था। लेकिन क्योंकि हमारी फुलफिलमेंट कारों से, प्रॉपर्टी से, रिलेशनशिप से, कुछ भी ले लो आप, यू नेम एनीथिंग इन द वर्ल्ड, क्योंकि हमारी फुलफिलमेंट वहां से नहीं होती है, वी ऑलवेज हैव दिस इनसेसेंट थर्स्ट कि नहीं, अभी भी कुछ मिसिंग है, मुझे नहीं पता वो क्या है, बट कुछ है जो मिसिंग है, देयर इज समथिंग विच आई एम मिसिंग। This is what which is actually propels ourselves further towards that something which actually is missing in our life. So there comes a time when there is, and I think it's mother's words only, not the exact thing, but just paraphrasing, that mother says that there comes a time in our life that we feel a deep void in the being, deep emptiness, and nothing can fulfill it. No property, no relationship, you don't have any interest in any of those which all you have tasted maybe. And then she says then only it means then the person is ready for the next step, which is filling up that emptiness now with the divine. Only divine can fill up that emptiness which can't be filled with anything. And I feel this is so amazing, because when when we are not afraid of those emptinesses and lonelinesses, as Nandini was sharing, when we begin to befriend them, then slowly we begin to blossom and have an intimate relationship with ourselves, which in other words is intimate relationship with the divine also, one and the same thing. तो अब यही है कि कब किसके जीवन में ये समय आए, वो दैट टाइम में बी डिफरेंट, बट in this lifetime or another, this has to happen, because all of us are bound towards the divine. सबकी डेस्टिनेशन एक ही है, तो इस जन्म में जिद करेंगे तो अगले में संभलेंगे, अगले में नहीं तो उसके अगले में. एटर्निटी हैज लॉट्स ऑफ लाइफ टाइम्स, सो देयर इज नो रश, बट यस देयर इज रश ऑल्सो, because yeah, why to waste when we know that there is a work to be done. In Savitri there are few lines where Savitri is grieving over Satyavan's loss, and this voice comes and it says that, you forgot your mission, why, what are you doing this, like wasting your time like this, something like that. And she says that, what can I do, my strength is taken away from me, and I have nothing to really look forward to in my life. Then the voice says that, what would I reply back to the divine? That you left your mission unaccomplished, you left it like that, halfway, midway. What answer shall I give to the divine? So there, I think it's not only Savitri's case, it's actually the story of each human being. कि आप क्या जाके मुंह दिखाओगे कि क्या करने आए थे और क्या करके चले गए, क्योंकि कुछ है जो हमें करना है, हम सबको कुछ ना कुछ करना है, उसी के लिए हम पैदा हुए हैं. ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ मजे बजे, वो अलग बात है कि दैट वी लर्न थ्रू ईच एंड एवरी एक्सपीरियंस, इवन इन इग्नोरेंस, ऑफ कोर्स दैट इज अ लॉन्गर पाथ, but there is a mission to be accomplished, which is listening to each one has their own heart's calling, true mission, that has to be revealed and that has to be lived. not just theorized about and philosophized about, but that has to be lived. We must have the courage to live our mission, our true call. और उसके लिए, as we had shared earlier, that there are many people who say so many things about you, कि ये तो पागल है, ये तो पता नहीं क्या करती है, you know, everything. तो लेकिन आप किस किस की सुनोगे, है ना? और अगर सबकी सुनने बैठ गए, सबको खुश करने बैठ गए, तो फिर तो करो वही, अगर वही अच्छा लग रहा है तो वो करो. और ऐसा कोई भी इंसान नहीं है, ऐसा कोई भी मास्टर नहीं है जो अपने टाइम पे who has not faced criticism. No mystic, we can find the stories of mystics, and always mystics had this peculiar characteristic that they were always ahead of their time. So they would do things which would sound very weird to other people, and in those times Jesus Christ, for example, you know, they hanged on cross. अब हम उनको रेवर करते हैं, याद करते हैं, क्रिसमस सेलिब्रेट करते हैं उनकी याद में और पता नहीं क्या क्या, बट जब वो हैं सामने तो हम उनको टांग रहे हैं क्रॉस पे. So be ready to be, all of us, I think it's a very symbolic thing that all of us have to be prepared to be hanged on cross for living out our truth. How does it matter? भगत सिंह नहीं टंग गए क्या फांसी पे? जो उनको करना था, जीना था, वो कर गए छोटे से जीवन में. So all of us must develop so slowly, cultivate slowly, and not say that only it belongs to some other people who are geniuses, that oh, you have so much of courage. Each one of us, it's the mission of our life to live out our mission, vision or purpose in our life, irrespective of what people talk about you, say to you, reject you, insult you, doesn't matter. It's like actually nature's call, that if you have nature's call, you just have to go attend to it, and no matter how many people are trying to stop in the name of society or ethics, morality, we just know that we have to do that. So we have to reach a point, because many a times we are not convinced. We have to reach a point in our life that it's a choiceless going forward, that you have no other choice, there is no other way that you can live if not for the truth of your heart. All of us have to reach at some moment or another that point. And that brings true contentment. That was what we were reading here. That is what brings true contentment, and not the outer wealth and appearances. And the ultimate security, now in the third paragraph they are talking of security, that no matter how much they get all the material comforts, beyond a certain level of security and comfort, it's not going to fulfill them. The ultimate security is in the divine. Ultimate security, either we can say it, ultimate security is in the divine, or we can use another word, the ultimate security is in groundlessness. That you make ground in groundlessness. So either we say that ultimate security is divine, which is infinite and again groundless, but it is a ground, it is a groundless ground. It's like आप ऊपर से गिरना शुरू करो, तो अगर कहीं एक जमीन है तो आप उस पर टक्कर खा के टूट फूट कर सकते हो, चकनाचूर हो सकते हो. But if it's infinity and you are falling, कहाँ पे टक्कर खा के गिरोगे? कोई टी पॉइंट है ही नहीं. It's infinity. So we are always in the lap of infinity. So either we see it that way, that I am always in the lap of infinity, always taken care of, that's ultimate security, or we see it in another terms, which is I am always in the lap of the divine. No matter what, how the appearances may look, कि बहुत difficult समय चल रहा है या कुछ भी हो रहा है, there is a purpose behind each and every thing that happens in our life. And to have that trust and suppleness and faith that let me allow to grow through these experiences rather than be bogged down, to have that much of faith and certitude. Yeah. Anything here, anyone? It's very interesting. Next paragraph. So Jetsunma went to a conference, Buddhist organization, and the question was, what is happiness and how do we get it? I remember one sociologist who was not a Buddhist said that it had recently been shown that people have a certain level of basic happiness. That level may vary slightly for different people, but each has a basic level. If, for example, someone wins the lottery, their happiness level goes up for a time and then the next year it returns to that individual's normal level. Or if someone has a terrible accident and becomes disabled, their happiness may goes down, but then after a while it comes back up again. Very interesting. The sociologist said that the only thing they have ever found that raises the happiness level and keeps it raised is meditation, because it gives one an inner joy that is not dependent on outer things. So, provided they carry on practicing, they can sustain this feeling of well being and joy. Otherwise, all these delights and pleasures are nice, but they are also transient, lasting only for a short time. When we feel uplifted and then go back to the normal drudge again. So, again, getting in touch with something in us, within us, which is like a fountain of contentment and joy. And if it was not possible, then we would not have been given this challenge in front. Because it is possible, that is why the challenge is there. And if all the external things were able to give us contentment, then they will give us contentment, but that is not the design. है ना, तो यही कह रही थी मैं कि there is a work to be done, that all of us have to, at one point of time, after enough outward gaze, we have to turn our gaze within, and then I think a new life has to begin. It's just the beginning of a new life. It's not ending of some big stuff done. It's actually a beginning, and that's what Sri Aurobindo says, that in integral yoga, this inward turning, or in other words, nirvana, or ridding of the ego or desire soul, that's the first step, and after that actually the process start of integral yoga. तो पहले हम फर्स्ट पे तो पहुंचे, और अभी भी अगर हमको अपनी भावनाओं और विचारों पे बहुत विश्वास है, तो फिर हम बस काम को टांग रहे हैं साइड पे, जैसे होता है ना पोस्टपोन करना, हम बस पोस्टपोन कर रहे हैं। अब वो करें, वो फ्री विल इज देयर, जितने लंबे समय तक करना है करें। That is why we need from time to time some tragedies to happen in our life, because otherwise before that we don't wake up. We keep postponing, 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 postponing. Keep believing in our thoughts and feelings and thoughts and feelings. In Savitri, there are enough instances, enough, really enough, that tell us that thoughts and feelings are not to be believed if you have to go within and find out your true consciousness. तो अगर उसी में बिलीव करते रहेंगे, उसी को मानते रहेंगे, सारी अपनी जजमेंट्स को, ओपिनियंस को, तो फिर आगे बात ही नहीं बढ़ेगी, क्योंकि एक इतना मोटा पर्दा आया हुआ है सामने, आप आगे बढ़ ही नहीं जा पा रहे। Yeah, anything here, anyone? Okay, all clear? Shall we go ahead then? Anyone? Okay, all clear then. Then we go ahead. Yeah, so let's see. So assuming that, would anyone want to read? I thought maybe people don't have capacity to read, so I'm reading. If anyone can read, would like to read, please go ahead and read these two paragraphs that are in front. Maybe
I'll
three.
read.
Yes, yes.
So, assuming that our happiness depends on outer circumstances is a false trail. Therefore, what is the right way to go? Perhaps we could start on our inner possessions, not the outer wealth, which at a certain point is counterproductive. I know many wealthy people, but they don't seem especially happy. I also know lots of poor people, some of them extremely happy and some of them are not. Happiness does not depend on material possessions. When I was living in a cave, I didn't have anything much, not even a torch, yet I was perfectly happy. So not having anything was totally irrelevant. It is sad that the more traditional societies are discarding their own standards, they are throwing away their own culture, which gives them an identity and dignity as a people. For the modern junk culture, which often depreciates their own long held traditional values. Burma, now known as Myanmar, was under a repressive government for many years. Then they tried democracy. Hundreds of political prisoners were released, and Aung San Suu Kyi was in parliament. This was wonderful. Things were relaxing and opening up much more. I got a letter from that time. I got a letter around that time from Burma, Myanmar, and it is said that there was music in the streets and people smiling and feeling more relieved and happier. I'll read this
One more,
paragraph
one
finishes.
more. Yeah, one
Yeah.
more.
But because the situation was opening up, the world sanctions on Myanmar were relaxing, which meant that China, India, and United States and Europe were all planning to descend on Myanmar and buy up all its wealthy assets, such as rubies, diamonds, gold, and probably oil and natural gas. For a long time, these assets had been frozen due to boycotts of the regime. Now these countries were looking to make trade agreements and flood the country with all their junk products. In addition, tourism was set to boom as Myanmar became an in place to visit, which meant big luxurious hotel and resorts and tour groups from around the world were planned. Goodbye traditional Burma, goodbye Burmese heritage. Now Aung San Suu Kyi is under house arrest again and democracy is on hold.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think maybe we should take, I'll just read out the last one also because it's in continuation. I didn't see. Ironically, during the time of the regime, Buddhism flourished, the Dharma flourished, and there were many meditation centers. Lay people also practiced, and in the evenings, the local stupa became the social center full of people, young and old, sitting and reciting their prayers, meditating, circumambulating, making offerings, or just sitting around chatting. But now Myanmar's future is uncertain. One of the few unique Buddhist cultures of the world is just about to take a big fall. This is called impermanence. So, I think it must be experience of all of us. I don't know, we can share that in the most difficult periods of our life, we actually are able to progress exponentially. कि उतनी ग्रोथ हमारी यूजुअल हंकी डोरी ओके ओके पीरियड्स में नहीं होती जितनी ट्रबलसम पीरियड्स में होती है. So that's what she is sharing, that when there was the regime, when it is under the power of some else other country, then actually because you have to go through so much of turmoil and difficulty and challenge, you are resorting and taking refuge in the dharma, and then there is lots of exponential growth, spiritual growth, which actually brings a lot of contentment. While when things are relaxed, then we actually, it is so true, so many masters have said, we have seen this with our own life, कि सुख हमें मूर्छा देता है, इट बेहोश करता है वो, और जो दुख होता है वो हमको जगाता भी है और हमको प्रोग्रेसिव भी बनाता है, क्योंकि उसमें फिर हमको पता लगता है कि अच्छा ऐसा क्या है जो मुझे, ऐसा मैं क्या कर रही हूँ जो मुझे इतना दुख हो रहा है, लेट मी फाइंड आउट. सो देन वी फाइंड आउट अवर imperfections, weaknesses, then we begin to work on them, and then we become more and more independent and ingathered, and that brings a lots of joy. Mother says that progress brings lots of joy, and we all are craving for joy, aren't we? आप देखो अपनी लाइफ में जहां जहां वो हैंगिंग, कैरेट इज हैंगिंग इन फ्रंट एंड यू आर नॉट गेटिंग इट, वेयर एवर इट इज, वहां अल्टीमेट तो हमारा यही है ना कि ओके देन व्हेन दिस हैपेंस एंड दिस हैपेंस देन आई विल हैव जॉय, देन इट विल मेक मी फील नाइस. सो वो आपको ऑलरेडी मिल रहा है अंदर से, एंड देन यू आर नॉट वेटिंग फॉर anything outward. Of course there are things to be done, it's not that there are not things to be accomplished in the society, but your ground is not that, because you know that the world is still imperfect, I am still imperfect, and things will actually continue for a long time. But for that I don't have to keep myself in turmoil, because then we become even less productive when we are in turmoil. Yes. Yeah. Impermanence. Yes. So it's very good to remind ourselves of this impermanence whenever, like what Snehi had reiterated for us, to remind ourselves that uh, the life that we are living, this material earthly life, it is actually impermanent. है ना? लोग आते हैं, लोग मरते हैं, जाते हैं, शरीर छोड़ते हैं, है ना? अभी जो बहुत सुंदर लग रहा है वो कुछ सालों बाद आप उससे दूर भागना चाहते हो, बात भी नहीं करना चाहते उससे ना. उसी के पीछे पागल थे पहले, और अब वो सामने है और अब उसके साथ बात भी नहीं करना चाह रहे. तो अभी मैं जिस चीज के लिए पागल हो रही हूँ, क्या वो इतना वर्थ है पागल होना? क्या मैंने देखा नहीं है कि मुझे पागल होने के बाद आफ्टर दैट व्हाट हैपेंस? एंड फॉर एवरीथिंग इन अवर लाइफ एट वन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम वी वर ऑल पागल. नाउ वी हैव इट, नाउ देन व्हाट? So it actually helps us when we keep reminding ourselves of these fleeting appearances. Then it reminds us that I don't need to have my base there. Savitri में एक लाइन आती है, अश्वपति, he plunged his roots in the infinite. So our roots have to be in the infinite, and then spread of the leaves and branches that can be here in the material world. But the roots, the sustenance must come from there. अगर हम यहाँ पे sustenance का अपना roots बना लेंगे तो बार बार थप्पड़ पड़ेंगे, है ना? क्योंकि कोई भी हमें सस्टेन नहीं कर सकता. जो खुद ही फुल नहीं है अभी, वो आपको कैसे सस्टेन कर लेगा? आधी अधूरी जो हमारी रिलेशनशिप्स हैं, है ना, वो खुद ही अभी इम्परफेक्ट है, खुद ही में पूरे नहीं है, तो व्हाट कैन अ बेगर गिव अ बेगर? So it's a bad expectation, so we must be aware, what am I doing? And this is why mother says to be reasonable. तो ये तो कॉमन सेंसिकल ही नहीं लग रहा कि, है ना, जो अभी खुद ही अपने से नहीं टोटली जुड़ा हुआ, वो कैसे किसी को पूरा कर दे. Yeah, anything more here, anyone? I think we are done with the verse 9, which was actually a very small commentary. Maybe we can take up something, I don't know, I'll see what is there in the Heart of Compassion by Dilgo Khense. If there is something more, we'll take that up next time. So here, just repeating for ourselves the crux. Like dew on grass, the delights of the three worlds by their very nature evaporate in an instant. To strive for the supreme level of liberation, which never changes, is the practice of a Bodhisattva. And why? Because a Bodhisattva who has to work in the world for the world, आपकी खुद की बैटरी तो रिचार्ज रहनी चाहिए ना. अगर हमारी खुद की बैटरी उन्हीं फ्लीटिंग अपीयरेंस से रिचार्ज हो रही है, तो फिर आधा चार्ज रहेगा, आधा चार्ज नहीं रहेगा, काम ही नहीं कर पाओगे. कहीं एक दिन फंक्शनल हो, दूसरे दिन फंक्शनल नहीं हो, है ना. So we have to, if to be fully functional, actually fully giving ourselves to the world, We need to recharge our batteries from the infinite source of recharging. That's where we have the ultimate security, supreme security. सबको करना है, अभी नहीं समझ में आ रहा हमें तो बाद में करेंगे. हाँ जी, तो आज हम छोटा सेशन करेंगे. सो इफ एनीबडी हैज़ एनी लास्ट कमेंट्स, प्लीज comment or unmute or share, and else we conclude. All right, nothing then. Okay, so let's in that case take a moment of silence to dedicate, share all our understanding, collective merit with all the sentient beings, near, far, unknown, known. May we all have true progress and joy in our lives, and may we all able to plunge our roots in the infinite and draw sustenance from that. And may all of us have a very, very solid ground where we can root ourselves fully, so that we can fully give ourselves to this world. Yeah, thank you everyone. Short session today. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.